recording.
Oh, wonderful. So we get a record of us sitting here.
Unless I do this, and it'll just hear us.
We don't need to record. Why are we recording?
Because I haven't set up to record any of the book signing events. Actually, any of the events except for Jane Cleveland.
Why are we doing that?
Why not?
Oh. But this is not the workshops.
No, but still, don't you think we should have something about the signings too? I didn't do it for the Allison's thing, and I should have.
Technically, you're supposed to notify people when you're recording them.
Well, it's up to the squad. I'm sure they do that with the big guns too.
Oh, good. Murder on the.
Yeah.
Murder on the beach. Yes? Okay. Okay, so it's oh yeah, that was sent a while ago. Is your email soshell@yahoo.com? Okay, you need to resend her. Sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear the cows in the background?
Nope.
Nope.
They have very bad timing.
So that you're in the picture. So it's good to see you again.
I just lost you. Let me click around just a bit. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. It's good to see you too.
Yeah. And in case you've forgotten, I'm Joanne and this is Stacy.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. Very nice to be with you.
Nice to be with you too.
I like the poster in the background. That's the book you were here for.
Thank you. It was such a great trip last summer. I have to tell you, I am so lamenting not being able to get out this summer. It has just been so odd and just,
Yeah.
you know, it's just one of the whole highlights of the year. So,
well, we admire anybody who is willing to come to Florida in July.
oh, yeah, no problem. My husband and I just moved in January. We're building a house. That's why I don't have an office right now. And so I've actually got a window open so I can have connectivity. And we're probably close to 100 about right now. So I'm pretty used to the heat.
Check them off.
Yep, that's what I got though.
Yeah.
We've got someone joining us. I guess they're
Sarah?
No, I don't know.
No, it's a fan. It's a fan of yours and Sarah's that's trying to log in.
Oh, a little early. Okay.
Yep.
Would you rather we let them sit in the waiting room until 6 o'clock?
However you guys would like to do it.
We find a lot of people can't get their audio right or the video right, so it takes a few minutes to get set up. So we might as well do that now.
Yeah, same here. So are you guys open for business currently?
Yeah, we've been open since May, just about.
Since May. How's everything been at the store?
Well, it's summer in Florida, so you know it's been actually just about a typical summer.
Has it really?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Hi.
That was Sarah just joining us.
Hi, Sarah.
Oh, hi, Sarah. Hi, it's good to see you.
Hi, Linda. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Is that a real background or a virtual background?
That's my real background.
Wow, we like it.
It's funny because it's sort of a corner of our bedroom.
Uh-huh.
And I always tell people, if I were to turn it even 5 degrees this direction, you would be horrified because it's like laundry and pets and kid stuff. But this corner is very appropriate for.
Yes. Well, ours is a virtual background.
Oh, it's
Ah,
Well, actually, the computer is actually in the shipping receiving area, and the background is a mess.
Oh.
So we took a picture of one of our bookshelves, and we use it as a virtual background.
Well, it looks perfect. It looks very realistic.
Yeah.
And we have Susan coming on.
Yes.
Oh, Aline.
Oh, well, Aline is here.
Oh, great.
Hey, Aline.
Hi, Elaine. I don't know if she could hear us.
Yeah.
And you killed your brother for the same reason.
There she is.
Hi, Aline.
Hi.
Anybody to be there. I'm always early. How are you all?
Great.
Great.
Doing well.
Hi, Linda. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
I
Oh, hi. How are you?
enjoyed your books many times, and I'm looking forward to tonight.
Yes, me too, Aline. Thank you for being here. We missed each other last summer.
Yes, we did, unfortunately.
Yes. Well, I'm so pleased you're here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sarah, nice to meet you finally.
It's nice to meet you too, and thank you for all of the support. And it's great to finally connect with you, even over Zoom.
Well, I hope it brought you a lot of sales.
Yeah, I it can't help with someone
Can't
like
help, can't hurt.
That's right. Mhm.
I know, Aline, a lot of our customers have mentioned your review.
Oh, good, good. I'm just gonna clear something off that I've been working on. Okay. There we go.
Let's see. Carolyn Bennett.
Okay. Oh, good, Joanne. I hope they did see it. I hope they turn out. So good.
Well, I think we had 12 or 14.
Oh, good, good. Well, that's a start.
Yes, yesterday we only had 4. Is everybody signed up today?
Okay.
I've noticed with
Oh.
these that people tend to sign up at the last minute.
Yeah,
It's funny.
yeah.
Yep.
I posted it twice today, so I don't know if that ever helps or what, but
I heard from a few. I posted it a few times on the different platforms, and I heard from a few people
oh,
today.
good.
So fingers crossed.
Sarah, this is going to be a series, right?
Yes, in fact, I'm finishing up the second one right now.
Okay, good.
So yeah, and I have some questions I want to ask Linda about, about creating a character who will stand the test of time.
I can't wait to start gushing about your book, Sarah. I seriously, with all of this weird stuff going on, my husband and I, we've moved and just, we're in the process of building a house. We're sort of out in the middle of nowhere. I had a hard time settling into reading your book. Wow. I love it. And I seriously mean that. You're a beautiful writer.
Thank you.
And what a great fresh idea. So I'm not going to start gushing yet. I'm going to wait until we start, but it's just really good. And I'm actually not quite finished. I kind of, not quite finished yet. So,
well, I'm in the same boat because I sort of was reading along with you for a while, and I just love your series. And then just with getting this book out the last few years, I fell off, and I picked up Outsider, and it's so good. The beginning just floored me, and I also didn't get quite as far as I wanted and finished, but it's terrific.
That is okay. Don't worry. But that I love that compliment. Thank you. And that was a fun scene to write. That opener.
Yeah.
That was fun. Yeah.
It really is just, it's just a terrific opener.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, guys.
I'm Joanne, and this is Stacy.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for hosting this event and for organizing. We're so appreciative.
Hey, Sarah. I'm just now seeing you. How are you?
I think my layout was already on tile, so I could see everyone. Hello, everyone. Hi, Aline.
Hi, Sarah. Nice to see
Thank
you.
you again so much for promoting the event. So pleased to see it. So wonderful.
It's so great when you read an author and you just fall in love with this vision they have. And that's just, to me, it's just the joy of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And there's the others.
Yeah. For sure. I'll mute and I will turn off my video when it comes go time. But I just wanted to check in beforehand and just make sure everything was okay. It looks like everyone's in and everything's great.
I think everybody is up and running. And Sarah, it's just really, really nice to see you.
Oh, it's very nice to see you, Linda. Did I have my video turned off? I've been having my video turned off for a lot of events.
I think you did last on Monday.
Right, Barbara's event. Yep.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That was a great event too. You did such an excellent job.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah. Any tricky questions too?
Oh yeah.
That.
She'll keep you on your toes, but that's
she
okay.
She does. As she does. Yes.
I'll give you all a little warning that it's incredibly hot here in Vermont today. And of course, since it's Vermont, we don't have air conditioning. So I have my window open to try to keep me from completely melting down here. And we have many farm animals that could make noise outside the window. So if you hear something funny and I leap up to close the window, you'll know.
Sarah, I cannot believe you said that, because when I first came on, I have my window open so I can have connectivity. And I asked, did you all just hear the cow? Because all of the cows are outside my window and the window is open. That is so funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, so we may have competing for sheep.
The cows are going to steal the show. What can we say?
Linda, you have cows? Well, wait, you don't own cows. Are they just nearby?
We're letting people. We have 75 acres. We're releasing our property just for our neighbor to let his cattle graze. Probably through July 20th, and then they're gone. So
wow.
Yeah.
Well, and Sarah, you have goats. You have a goat farm.
We actually sheep.
Sorry, sheep. Sorry. Yes.
That's okay. So we have a sheep farm, and we also have guinea hens.
Oh, I love them.
They're beautiful, and they eat a lot of ticks. We have them for tick control, but they're incredibly loud. So they are the prime suspects for interrupting us tonight.
That's okay. If we're going to be interrupted, I would just as soon be interrupted by a guinea. I love the call of the guineas. I actually go to it's a little bar called Bankersmith that's a few miles from our house, and they have chickens and they also have guineas. And I've heard that guineas are actually very good watchdogs.
They are. They're very good.
They'll alert you when somebody's coming in the lane.
Yep.
They run out.
I mean, I think it really hasn't started, but except I'm seeing them.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Sarah. This is Libby.
Oh, hi, Libby.
Hi. I'm getting myself situated, so
oh, good. Libby. I'm
videoed better.
Thank you for coming. Libby is a very wonderful longtime family friend. My mom's close friend. So
the last time we talked, it was for an hour and 20 minutes.
Welcome, Libby.
So that says something.
You have nice windows, Libby.
Well, thank you.
And a beautiful ceiling.
Working my face. I think this might do it. Am I there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Hi. This is wonderful to be able to do this. Thank goodness for Zoom.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm sure there's still going to be some.
Be hot in Vermont. We're in Florida. It's like 100 degrees here.
It's hot here in Vermont. I don't know. It was like 95 today.
It's hot here too, Sarah, in upstate New York, 95. My office is also not very air conditioned, and
Oh, that is
it's
warm.
very warm towards the end of the day.
It's really nice in Montana,
I bet.
Nice.
about 80.
It's
Oh,
about that in San Diego too.
80 in San Diego?
Yeah.
Wow.
Susan, is everything okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, just checking.
Yes, thank you. I lost it for a little bit, but I'm back.
Do you have video?
I turned it off.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just checking. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so we have 3, 6, 9, 12 people. 2, 3, where's Donald?
4, 5, 6, 7.
Candace Bennett.
Am I missing people?
Okay, we got Bennett.
Mhm.
I don't know who the Cusick's are.
That's Sheila.
Oh, Sheila Cusick. Okay. Harriet Silverglate.
All right.
Yeah, and Susan. That must be
I'm thinking it's Susan.
O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Karen Olson. Right there.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. I haven't seen you in years.
I know. We were on tour together the last time I saw you.
I know.
I forget where we went, somewhere in Connecticut and Massachusetts, I think.
I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
Can you get to the second page on this?
I think I have to move. I feel like witness protection.
Not yet,
Okay. How do you know if there is a second page?
because there would be an arrow that would be on the screen,
Got it.
like your iPad. I think we're just waiting on a few more people.
Okay.
We'll just give them a few minutes and then start without them if they don't show
Sure.
up.
Sure.
Not like they have to step over anyone when they come in later. It's me, sorry, excuse me.
I guess she's holding her phone or iPad.
Mhm.
Murder on the Beach. We see you. I mean, you're on here. What do you mean you don't have Zoom? You don't have audio or you don't have video? Okay, so maybe your computer doesn't have a camera. Okay, so but you can hear. Okay, that's fine, but you can hear it, what's going on, right? Okay, so that's fine.
I think someone's having a little technical difficulty. I don't know.
No way. I'm glad it's not me. It was.
Oh, wow. Okay, I gotta go because we're gonna start, okay? But thanks for calling. Okay, bye.
Who was that on the phone? She's already on there. Because I told her we can see her. I mean, she's on there, but
Oh,
Cusick.
there's Catalina. Okay. There's something I might be able to do on my end. That's why I was asking who it is.
She doesn't think she has a camera on her computer.
Okay.
Hey, Catalina.
Hi, I'm trying to get rid of the virtual background. It was for the MWA meeting.
Yeah.
I see FLO and then TER.
Whoa.
There you go.
I can give myself an astrology background. I can't seem to get rid of the background.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Okay, I'll be an astrologer tonight. Hello.
Hi.
Look how your hand disappears like magic with a virtual background.
Yeah. Okay, so should we get started, do you think? Or give them a few more minutes?
Yeah, I've got 5:03, whatever you think. I'm good either way.
And you, Sarah?
Same here. I'm ready to go if you are, but
Okay.
if you're waiting for a few more people, I'm also happy to wait a little bit.
Okay, so let me introduce you guys and then we can get started. And then I'll turn it over to you, and the two of you will be in conversation.
Sounds good.
Welcome everybody. I'm so glad you could join us, and I hope the people who are having technical problems join us soon. First, let me introduce Linda. Linda Castillo is the New York Times bestselling author of the Kate Burkholder novels. She was here at our store last year for the Shamed, yeah, which was a wonderful book. I loved it. And we are happy to have her back again. The first book in her series, Sworn to Silence, was adapted into a Lifetime original movie titled An Amish Murder. Castillo is the recipient of numerous industry awards, including the Daphne du Maurier Award of Excellence, the Holtz Medallion, and a nomination for the Rita. In addition to writing, Castillo's other passion is horses, and maybe cows, from what I understand by today. Okay, she lives in Texas with her husband and is currently at work on her next novel. The book that she's going to be talking about today is The Outsider, which is great. And what number is that in the series, Linda?
It's actually number 12.
Wonderful.
It's hard to believe, but number 12 in the series.
Okay, and our second participant is Sarah Stewart Taylor. She is the author of the Sweeney St. George series and a forthcoming novel that will be the first in a new series about an American police detective.
The volume is too low. I can't hear you.
She grew up.
Is there a way to turn the volume up?
I'll check on that.
Is your volume, Don?
My name is Don, right?
Yeah, is your volume up?
But I can't barely hear you.
But is your volume up on your end?
Yeah, mine volume's fine.
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sarah grew up on Long Island and was educated at Middlebury College and Trinity College in Dublin. And she lived in Dublin in the mid-90s. She now lives with her family on a farm in Vermont with no air conditioning, where she raises sheep and grows blueberries. So please Her new book is The Mountains Wild, that she'll be talking about today. So please welcome Sarah and Linda.
Now I got the volume.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
I lost the picture. I got the volume.
Thank you for being here, everybody. We really appreciate it.
Very much.
So, so Linda, do you want to start? Do you want me to start? I will start out by saying that I just absolutely love your Kate Burkholder series. I love her. I love the setting. I love the cast of characters that you've created in those wonderfully drawn communities that you've created in Ohio. And I would love to start out, I guess, by just asking you a little bit about where Kate came from, how you came up with her. And I think one of the things I love about your books is the way that you seamlessly weave details of Amish life into into Kate's interactions with the people in those communities, and into Kate's life too, because of course she has her own history there.
Right.
And so where did she come from, and how do you do that so effortlessly?
Sarah, that is such a great question. First of all, thank you. I'm so pleased that you are enjoying the books. And Kate Burkholder, this is the 12th book in the series, and thinking back to before I wrote the first book, before I wrote Sworn to Silence, Kate is kind of a collage of many women that I've known in my lifetime. Women who who I've loved, women who are fallible, women who make mistakes. But in the case of Kate Burkholder, one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to take the reader through this series through the eyes of someone who was formerly Amish. I wanted to be able to give them sort of a glimpse into some of the things that Kate Burkholder experienced. If you recall, she was born into the Amish community, knew Dutch before she ever knew English. Dutch actually being German, but they call it Dutch. And I wanted to be able to give the readers those kinds of insights. And so Kate is sort of a collage of many different women that I've known, and then of course the Amish part of Kate's background just was total from my imagination.
Mm-hmm.
A great question, though.
Great, excellent. What about how you sort of weave the details through? I mean, you use words. Dutch words, I guess, Dutch words that you weave throughout the books, and you have a great way of sort of giving us the definition without it feeling didactic. You somehow sort of get it in so that we understand what's happening. How do you approach sort of including those details in the books and explaining them to your readers?
That is a really good question. And, one of the things that I discovered early on when I started this series is that the Amish culture, because separation from the rest of the world is one of the tenets of their society, there's a little bit of a mystery there. There are a lot of things that I didn't know about the Amish, and I think a lot of things that people in general just don't know about the Amish. They don't, the Amish obviously don't talk about it or discuss it or anything like that. And so that was a little bit of a challenge. I was able to, there are some wonderful books out there. Amish Life by John Hochstetler. That is pretty much my go-to book as far as research books. A librarian in Tuscarawas County, Ohio, gave me an English to Dutch and Dutch to English a dictionary, which really comes in handy. It's like the pages are falling out of this book. I use it so much. I pick it up and it's like the pages go flying because I've broken this bind about 100 times. But I have to tell you, the most helpful thing that I have done is every summer I am lucky enough to go on book tour, and I travel to Holmes County. First book tour was, not quite a disaster, but it was very interesting. It was the second book in the series. And it was completely foreign territory for me. And, after I got through that first book tour, loved it. And I realized every year thereafter, I made friends with my librarian friend, Denise, who I just absolutely love. And I've known her for many years now. She's sort of a social butterfly, and she knows a lot of the Amish in and around Holmes County. And so I've been lucky enough to be able to, have dinner with some of the Amish families, take a tour of an Amish dairy farm. A few years back, I actually even got to drive a buggy, which was very, very interesting, and it was very fun.
Yep.
And I would have to say, of all the things that I do, just being there, we've done crazy things, like we went to a horse auction, an Amish horse auction, a livestock auction, and it was pouring rain, and it was cold. It was, it was probably November or something like that. But being able to be there helps me as a writer to be able to create the scenes, and I hope to depict the Amish people in a very, very genuine way.
Yeah, that's, I certainly struggled with that sense of, and I'm sure we'll talk about this some more, of sort of how you depict someone who isn't you, who's a nationality different from you, who comes from a community that's very different from yours. And I think we all want to strive for that sense of respect and honoring that community. And I always find that the temptation is to portray the community in a wholly positive light. And of course, that's, especially when you're writing crime, that doesn't make for very good stories. And so there's
Right.
always this, you always have to sort of strike this balance of really honoring the country or the culture or the community that you're writing about, but giving it a full treatment and depicting it completely. And
Right.
how do you think about that? How do you approach that? Because obviously some very tragic things happen in these Amish communities, and so you're showing kind of the whole continuum of human experience.
Right. And you are so right. I mean, you make some very good points. And it's you can't really take a group of people and sort of put them in, categorize them like that. But generally speaking, the Amish are good people. They're good neighbors. They help their neighbors. I have personal experience with that. A friend of mine in Ohio, her house burned, and she didn't know her Amish neighbors. And they came over and they framed up a new house for her. They do things like that. And I think generally speaking, they're very, very good people. But another way of looking at that also is that while all of that may be true, the Amish are also human.
Right.
And I think that, they suffer from all of the same frailties and imperfections that the rest of us do. And I think that's one of the things that I try to do when, in portraying the Amish, is that, yes, they're good neighbors, but no, they are not perfect. And so that's sort of how I approach that.
Great. I would love you to tell us a little bit about your latest novel, Outsider, which just came out. And I was telling Linda before we started that I haven't finished it yet, but the beginning of this book is an absolute knockout. It starts at 100 miles per hour and just keeps going from there. And it's a really, really powerful opening scene. And so tell us
The
a little.
host has disabled me for some reason. It says
Probably, I think usually they just mute everybody so that when the speakers are speaking. So I don't think, nothing's wrong with your computer. That's, everybody is muted.
Right, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this wonderful new book, and what was your favorite part of writing it?
Well, you know, a lot of people have told me that it's a very timely book, and all of that, I have to tell you beforehand, is by accident, because, you know, before all of the, you know, police stuff started being on the news, you know, I actually turned this book in probably maybe November of last year. But basically what happens is an Amish man and his family, he's a widower, they're out of for a sleigh ride before a blizzard hits. And they discover a woman who has wrecked out the truck that she's driving, a pickup truck, and she's also been shot. And so the Amish man does the right thing. He calls Chief of Police Kate Burkholder. Kate comes to the scene just as the blizzard is bearing down on Painters Mill, Ohio. And lo and behold, this person is Gina Colarosa. And what is so interesting, and one of the things I love most about this book, is that Gina Colarosa was actually mentioned in the first book.
It says the host has disabled my participant screen sharing.
Gina is basically.
Can you hear me, the host?
We can hear you, Don.
And why is it?
It'd be nice if I would be able to participate.
Well, can you see everybody?
The host disabled participant screen sharing. The host
Hi, Don. We want everyone to stay muted until it's time for questions at the end.
Well, how come his picture's not on there?
Well, I didn't send him a picture.
Oh, yeah, no.
But we can hear you, Don. We just can't see you. Can you see us okay? Okay. But anyway, one of, you know, I get a lot of mail from readers, and, you know, a lot of readers ask me, you know, Kate Burkholder was born Amish. She left the Amish community when she was about 18 years old, and went to Columbus, Ohio, and eventually found her way back to Painters Mill, where she became chief of police. And I was getting a lot of questions from readers who wanted to know, how did Kate Burkholder become interested in law enforcement? How did she go, since, you know, most Amish children only go through school to the 8th grade. And this book, through the use of flashbacks, sort of tells what happened, how Kate became interested in law enforcement, how she became friends with Gina Colarosa. And the book opens with Gina Colarosa. She's in deep, deep trouble. Of course, back in the day, Gina and Kate they were best friends. They were young women together. They went through the police academy together, and they became young police officers together. And they had a falling out, and 10 years later, Gina shows up in Painters Mill. She's got a bullet wound, and there are people trying to kill her. And Gina knew that the only person that she could trust with her life is Kate Burkholder. So that's sort of how the story opens.
Well, I highly recommend it it's just a great read.
Thank you, Sarah.
So maybe I'll ask you one more question, and then I know we'll have lots of time for questions at the end, and I may
sure. Absolutely, because I've got a few for you too.
Okay, good. So this is actually a bit of a selfish question. I love how you combine points of view. Some of your book is in third person past tense, where you recount things that have happened that have a bearing on the current timeline of the novel.
Right.
And Kate's chapters are first person present tense. So they have this great immediacy of the story happening, you know, as we're reading. Kate is thinking and acting, and we're you know, getting the story right from her.
Right.
How did you come to, and the reason that I say it's a selfish question is that I've been sort of playing around with adding some more points of view into my books, and it was really fun rereading some of your books and saying, oh, Linda does that. I guess I could do that if I wanted to. You know, Linda does it. So how did you come to combine points of view, and what does it allow you to do?
You said the word, one of the things that I love the most about first person present tense is that immediacy. I love that because the reader is right there in the head of the character. And I think that, you know, the reader goes through that scene and they are right there inside the head. I think the first person present tense book I read, somebody recommended to me, it was Greg Iles, who I love. It was one of his earlier novels. And I thought, I am not going to read that. I don't think I would enjoy first person present tense. I loved it. I devoured the book. I didn't just read it. And, you know, I actually started my career many moons ago writing romance. And I always wrote third person past tense. And when I changed genres, I wanted to do something a little different. And so, you know, I thought about it, and, this series, these are Kate's stories. And so that is where I wanted that immediacy to be while we're inside Kate's head. But I love to also be in the points of view of other characters. And I thought, what better way to differentiate and to make it different and to make it a little bit more challenging than to put the point of view third person past tense in the other characters. And it has worked so well, and it makes it really interesting for me as a writer to do it that way. I just absolutely love that.
Yeah, it sort of expands the world of your novels because you can sort of go into other people's houses and other people's lives, and I think it works well.
Yes. Well, Sarah, I have to tell you, you're a beautiful writer. And, you know, we chatted for just a couple of minutes before everybody came on board. And I just have to tell you, your book, you know, we're in some strange times, and I was having a little bit of a hard time settling into, you know, I always read, and I was just having a little bit of a tough time settling in. Your book changed it. I really love it. And Mags, I do have some questions. I'm not finished with the book yet, but you know, your book is also very different. It's very, one of the things that struck me right away, what is your connection to Ireland? Your love for Ireland and the Irish people shines. And I was just wondering if you could just say a little something about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so I grew up on Long Island and actually went to college in Vermont. And then the summer after I graduated from college, I bought a one-way ticket to Dublin, Ireland, and just sort of went there. And it seemed like sort of a crazy harebrained scheme, I'm sure, to my parents and everybody around me. But, I think I thought I would travel for a little bit and just, kind of relax a little after college. And I earned enough money to get myself there. And then I knew I'd have to work while I was there. And what happened was I fell in love with Dublin. I started working. I did a bunch of different things. I worked in pubs. I was a nanny for a while.
Wow.
Some very strange jobs while I was over there. I made and sold jewelry for a while. But I fell in love with Dublin, and then I applied to graduate school and ended up getting my graduate degree in Irish literature at Trinity College in Dublin. So
wonderful.
So it was this, it was just this really wonderful time of growth for me, and I made some incredible friends. And
yeah. How long were you there total?
So from 1993 to 1996.
Okay, that's a good long time. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's one scene, it was the flashback scene, and I think it's 93, where you describe the airport, and you've been there. I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, there's people are smoking, you can smell the cigarette smoke, and it's just, you have all of the sights and the smells and all of the visuals, and it just, you paint such a vivid picture. I love that element of the book. And, you know, one of the characters, I mean, I love Maggie, but I'm really curious also, where did Aaron come from? And tell me a little bit about Aaron.
Sure. So Maggie Darcy is my main character, and the novel, as Linda said, the novel unfolds in 2 time periods, 1993 and 2016. And in 1993, Maggie is a recent college graduate. She's working at her uncle's bar on Long Island, and her beloved cousin, Erin, who is really more like a sister. They've sort of grown up together, and there's a lot of love there, but it's also a very complicated relationship. And Erin, who has moved to Dublin, Ireland, disappears. She goes for, at first they don't know where or when she disappeared. She just doesn't come home. And Maggie, for a variety of reasons, is sort of the family member who can go over and look for her. And she tries very hard. She follows Erin's path, and she doesn't find anything. She has to go home, and the family has to live with this uncertainty. Yeah. And then 23 years later, new evidence is found, and Maggie goes back to Ireland to see if she can finally solve this case.
Yeah, I love how you pulled all of that together. One of the things that I love particularly, you told this story that's it's the same story, and yet you have dual stories because you used parallel timelines, and they're both riveting. How did you do that? How did you think to tell your story that way?
So I knew that this was a novel that sort of on its face, it's a novel about a disappearance and an investigation. But I knew that sort of under that, I wanted to tell a story about memory. And I wanted to tell a story about how human beings sort of create pictures of the people they love by patching together all of our memories of that person. And I liked the idea of sort of having the parallel narratives because I could sort of interrogate Maggie's memories of Erin with what actually happened, you know, and I wanted to sort of explore that idea that as we get older, we go back and we sort of look again at the really important events in our lives. And sometimes we have a different take on them than we did the first time.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I was very happy to read that this is the first book in a series, and you are currently working on the next book. Can you tell us, give us a little hint of what's next for Maggie?
Sure. So so I'm finishing up the second book in the series right now. I have a little more work to do, but it's been very tricky because I can't say too much about the second book without giving away the first for people.
Okay.
Who haven't read it. And it sounds
crazy. You have to kill us if you
don't want to do that. Don't want to do that.
Even telling you where it's set would give some important things away about the first book. But I will say, I can tell you that I've loved working on this book because I knew that I wanted, in the first book, Maggie goes back to Ireland and she's now a police detective. But she's not deputized in Ireland. And so she's very much having to kind of get around the local cops. She has to kind of figure out how to insert herself into this investigation. And in the second book, my goal was to really show her fully deputized and at the height of her powers. And so I'm really having fun doing that.
I bet. Do I have time to ask one more question? One of the, I'm very, some of my books are, sort of lean toward a police procedural. And I'm wondering, how did you research the police procedural aspect in Ireland? How did you do that? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did essentially what I do when I need details about American police investigations. I went and talked to some Gardaí, and they were incredibly helpful, and just being able to ask questions, like, so a body's found. Who's the next person who shows up on the scene? Who's the third person who shows up on the scene?
Right.
Who is responsible for making sure that evidence is preserved? Just all of those little, as you say, those sort of procedural questions that are really, really important. And I needed to do a lot of research because Ireland has a national police force, and so it's a very different setup from our town, county, state police forces.
Right.
So that
I bet that was a challenge. Yeah.
It was, but it was fun too. And it I think doing that research then sent me down some paths that I never would have taken the story otherwise. And actually, I'm going to throw it back to you really quickly, and then we can take some questions maybe from the audience. But how do you go about doing that kind of research? What's your process for that kind of research?
I did the funnest thing in the world. When I conceived the idea for this series, I knew that I wanted a female protagonist. I knew that I wanted her to be in law enforcement. I knew I wanted her to be chief of police, and I went through a citizens police academy. I actually went through 2 citizens police academies, and both are 12-week courses, and basically sort of a classroom type setting where the different departments, everything from homicide, crimes against persons, burglary, patrol, everybody, canine, everybody comes in, the officers in the unit, and they just sort of talk about what they do. And of course, we did some field trips. We got to do drive a police vehicle. We got to do ride-alongs. I did a ride-along with both a male and a female officer, which was very, very interesting. I enjoyed it very much. I did the graveyard shift. I thought, if I'm going to do a ride-along, I want to go when there's going to be some action. And it's like, that the graveyard shift is from midnight until 7 a.m. and that's when you really don't want to know what's going on in your community. It's like that's when the zombies come out. But it was such an eye-opener, and it was so very interesting. And one of the things that I learned, the sergeant that puts on the Citizens Police Academy, and it was in Plano, Texas, Frank McGilligan, could have done stand-up comedy, but loved to talk. He loved to share information. He did something like 23 years in undercover narcotics. So he was kind of a seasoned guy. So it was a huge learning experience for me. And in terms of writing police procedure in the books, it was just tremendously helpful.
Yeah. You have to go to the source. You have to get those details that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, are there questions from the
I have a question for Sarah.
From the audience? Sure.
Yeah, I love everything Irish. So I was wondering if you're familiar with the books by Roddy Doyle.
Oh, I love Roddy Doyle.
Oh,
he's fantastic. I think a lot of Americans just think of the film The Commitments when they think of Roddy Doyle, but the novel that The Commitments is based on is fantastic, and he has so many wonderful novels. I love him.
Right, I've read all of his books, I think. And I'm looking forward to reading yours. Again, following up with the Irish characters and the situations that are different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I was a star called Henry.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Was so wonderful.
Yeah.
Aline, did you have a question?
She's on mute.
Pardon?
I'm unmuting you, Aline. Trying to unmute you.
Yeah, but I've got something that says host disabled participant screen sharing. So
Aline, did you have a question?
I do. I do.
so that's all the questions I had with him.
Okay. Linda, I know you were in Sarasota last year, and that area has a lot of Amish. What was their reaction to your books, or do you know if they even have a reaction?
I have a funny story about that actually, and this was actually first book tour. I was sort of a that was back in I think probably 2010, and I was a little bit of a fish out of water. I walk into a small library in Dover, Ohio. I think Dover probably has a population of maybe, I don't know, 7,000 or 8,000 people. It's a small town. So I, go to this small library and it is jam-packed full of cars. There's no place to park. I have to park at the high school across the street. Everybody turned out to see this talk. And so I walk into the library and the director, Jim Gill, walks up to me and he goes, "Oh, Linda, when you're finished with your spiel, that Amish dude back there in the back wants to talk to you." And I looked and sure enough, there's an Amish guy. And I thought, oh boy, he's gonna yell at me because I used some language or, I got some research wrong or something. So interestingly, we did a book giveaway that night. He won the book. The Amish dude won the book. And so everything went well. After my talk, I went back and I talked to the Amish gentleman. His name was Mark. He said he absolutely loved the book. And that same afternoon, he had rented a driver in a van, a Mennonite person, and took me to the Amish and Mennonite Heritage Center, where he was employed, and he gave me a tour of Behold, which is basically sort of a mural in a round building, and floor-to-ceiling mural in the round that depicts the history of the Anabaptists and all of the persecutions that they've suffered from when they were in Switzerland and Europe, from way back in basically the 1600s. And I keep in touch with Mark to this day. So he loved the book. That was a good one. A few years ago, I did receive a letter from a gentleman. It was an Amish gentleman, a handwritten letter. His name was Levi. He was from Wisconsin. And he had read the third book in the series, which was Breaking Silence, and said that he was so offended by the book that he burned it. And, I couldn't really, didn't have anything really to write back. I was just thinking that, you should have maybe donated the book to the library or something, but I didn't write back. So it sort of runs the the gamut. I've heard both. They love it, or, of course, Levi wasn't his cup of tea.
And he bought the book.
He got it. He got it somehow. Yeah. I don't know if it was, I don't know how, but he got his hands on the book, and Levi was not a happy camper.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Linda. I'm very curious if you have Amish roots. What was it that triggered the interest in the Amish community?
I have actually received letters from readers. One very nice lady sent me a letter. She said either your mother or your grandmother is Amish. And I have absolutely no Anabaptist history in my family. I am originally from Ohio. I live in Texas now. But I think one of the big things that really intrigued me about the Amish is that I think their society and their culture is a little bit of a mystery. It's a little mysterious, and I was sort of drawn to that. I wanted to explore that, and having grown up in Ohio, you know, and I knew that I wanted that first book. I knew I wanted it to be a thriller. And one of the things I loved about that idea was, you know, you take this bucolic, beautiful farmland and, you know, northeastern Ohio, which is Amish country, and so peaceful and bucolic. And then you have the juxtaposition of this introduction of something evil into that. I really loved that contrast. And it just appealed to me very much as, you know, as a writer. And it just so many interesting elements when you think about different, you know, different cultures coming together, you know. And so those are sort of some of the
Yeah,
reasons.
I had a very limited understanding. I grew up in the East Coast, and to me, Amish always was equivalent to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And then I married someone from the Midwest and then realized that there were so many there. And now Olene said there was an Amish community in Sarasota.
Yes.
Which absolutely blew my mind. I
Yeah.
thought it was a very small cluster.
Yeah.
Two very good Amish restaurants over there too.
Really?
Yeah, that's a fast growing, and actually there's a large Amish community. One of the fastest growing Amish communities is in upstate New York. Upstate New York, Indiana, Wisconsin,
Illinois too.
Illinois, even down in Kentucky. They're sort of spreading out, and I think Holmes County, Ohio has a very similar population to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So those are the two largest Amish settlements in the world.
Mm.
And Sarah, I was in Ireland, I don't know, about 15 years ago. And they were so funny because I was at some restaurant that you could request the piano player to play something. And she was playing so international and so diverse that I requested Cielito Lindo, and she came up to apologize that she didn't know it. And then she said, and I'm so embarrassed because I know Mexicans are exactly like the people from Ireland. We're always happy. And so, you know, she had traveled to Mexico and had felt that the countries were very similar, which I found very funny because I found them to be very different.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I mean, it's I love that you say that though, that she was playing, you know, lots of different music, because one of the things that one of the things I've loved about traveling back to Ireland a lot recently is that Ireland is becoming really an increasingly diverse country, and initially driven by the you know, immigration within the EU, but now from many other places too. And it's really, I think it's really exciting. And a lot of my Irish friends just talk about how you know, how much the more recent arrivals have brought to the country. And one of the characters in my book actually is a young police detective in Ireland whose family came from Poland when she was young. And I you know, it was really fun to sort of learn more about the Polish community in Ireland. There's an increasingly large Polish community in Ireland.
Yeah, it's completely changed. I lived in Europe for about 7 years. I lived in France for 2 years, and I lived in Sweden for 5.5 years. And the Europe that I lived in doesn't exist anymore. It's the immigration has been, you know, I stood out like I was one of the few foreigners, especially in Sweden. Yeah. And today that's completely different. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was very embarrassing. It's because it was a very fancy place, and they had these little cards with a piano, so you got to write the song, and then you put the piano up. So it was, I couldn't think of any other song. So I was kind of embarrassed to embarrass her. And you know, Castillo, the reason I joined the Zoom was because of your last name, because that was my grandfather's last name. So are you Castillo by marriage, or are you Castillo by birth?
Sí, mi esposo es cubano.
And look, she speaks Spanish, and you went to the Deutsch thing.
Entiendo más en hablar un poquito.
Habla un poquito y entiende. Oh, wow, good for you.
I love the Irish traditional music too. There are places you can go in Dublin, everybody seems to bring their own instrument, and they have jam sessions that run for hours.
Yeah, Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about
experience.
Dublin.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
You have the Irish musicians in your book?
I do. There are a few scenes that have some Irish music in them, and in fact, my main character Maggie can sing a little, and she at one point in the book she gives someone a song. So yeah, and I hope to incorporate more of that into the series. Actually,
I met some people from Ireland, Dublin, and one of the first things that the lady said was, "Sing us something," you know. She wanted me to sing them a song, you know, which I wasn't familiar with that kind of experience, you know, somebody asking you to sing. But and they sang, and it seemed to be something that they were very comfortable with, and maybe some of your characters.
Yeah. Are there other? Oh, it looks like Libby might have a question. Just unmute yourself, Libby, if you can't. Yeah. I don't. Do you have?
It's usually in the bottom.
Okay.
You had it, and now you're muted again.
Mute.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
Okay, I'll do nothing to my iPad and hopefully it'll remain. I just have two quick questions for you, Sarah. One is, when you start a book, do you know how it's going to end, or does the book sort of take you to an ending that maybe even might surprise you? And then secondly, I'm curious how many times you've been back to Ireland since you arrived in Dublin in 1993.
Great questions.
So I do have a sense of how the book is going to end, and sometimes it'll be very vague and shadowy, and I know sort of who the murderer is and why the murder happened, but many other details about the resolution are sort of to be decided as I write. I have to say that this book, I was surprised quite a few times along the way with how this book ended, actually. And the final ending, I didn't really decide on until quite late in the process. So this one was a little different from my usual process. How many times have I traveled back to Ireland? My family would tell you that it's been many, many times recently. But let's see, my husband and I got engaged in Ireland in 2001. And then in the last 6 or 7 years, I've made probably 4 or 5 trips to do research for this book. I really wanted to do a lot of research and to visit all the places I was writing about and to talk to people, and of course it was great fun to have to do that for research.
Yeah. Well, it shows in the book your love for Ireland really does. It just shines in the book very much.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions?
Oh, it looks like Karen has a question.
Right. First, I just want to tell Linda that her books are my pandemic reading. I started with, last year I had a concussion and I could only listen to audiobooks, and my library had one of your books, and it was the second one. Wow. And then for Christmas, my husband gave me the first book in the series, and I'm now on to Among the Wicked. So I'm working my way through. It's really good pandemic reading because it just takes me out of all of the crazy that's going on right now. And I'm really, really enjoying the series. And Sarah, the one thing I'm curious about is when we knew each other way back in the day, you were writing Sweeney St. George, and then you sort of left for a little while. And now you're back to crime fiction.
Yeah.
And I'm curious why you left and then why you came back.
Yeah, good question. So I've been thinking that I should come up with some very mysterious story about, well, I was on a mission abroad during these 14 years. And but the truth is that I right after, I guess the third or the fourth Sweeney came out, I had 3 babies in 5 years, and was just, for a couple of years there, was just really sort of drowning in babies, and found it hard to sustain the focus to write a book a year, which is the schedule that most crime writers are on.
Yeah.
And it's a tough schedule, and I know people who do it with young families, and I am absolutely in awe of them. I found it really challenging.
Yeah.
But the way I came back is it's kind of interesting that as my kids became readers, and I loved sharing books with them so much, and as they became readers, I got the idea for a children's book, and so I wrote a series of kids' adventure novels in there that were really fun to write and fun to promote. But somewhere in there, I started missing crime fiction, and I was itching to get back to it, and to the more complex plots, and to murder. I was doing an event with Julia Spencer Fleming, and she said, "Once you've killed, you can never go back." There's something, I love it. I love constructing the plots. I love coming up with the ideas. And I finally sort of had the time and focus. My kids let me sit down for more than 2 hours at a time again. And and it's so much fun to be back doing it.
Oh, I can't wait to read your book.
Aline has a question.
Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, go. I can ask after. Thank you.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just curious, Sarah, has the book come out in Ireland? And if you've gotten any reaction from there?
Yeah, it has not. We have not sold the UK Irish rights yet. So, but a lot of Irish friends. I've had a lot of Irish friends read it, and I've gotten good feedback from them. And I actually had an Irish editor look at it at one point, because I the dialogue was so important to me. I wanted to make sure that the dialogue felt right.
Sure.
And I felt like I needed an Irish, I just wanted some Irish eyes on it at that point. And so she was a great source of feedback, and just a great reader for the book.
Okay. One last question, I think. Are you guys considering like incorporating the pandemic into your future titles, or you're just skipping over that?
I have seen that question come up multiple times on, just writers discussing that on Twitter and whatnot. I am of the mind that, sometimes I think it could go either way. Sometimes people maybe want to escape from the reality of the pandemic and how it's changed our lives. But on the other hand, if you think of it in terms of crime fiction, where could we go with that? What kinds of crimes could happen, and how could the pandemic complicate the investigation of a crime? That might be some interesting things. So I haven't really decided personally for me yet.
Yeah, I tend to be very careful about current events, because you hope that a book will be read for many years, and I think being really, really direct about dragging current events into books, it often makes them feel dated in a couple of years.
Point.
So
Yeah.
it's hard, but I think every crime writer has just thought about the possibilities here. And there's something, I also think there's just something about, there's been so much tragedy and so much sort of grief and exploration of grief within families. And some of the emotional content, I'm sure will make its way into people's work, if not the specific details of this time in history, if that makes sense.
Do you use any real locations in your books? Like a particular restaurant or bar, or a sculpture in a sculpture park that it actually exists in Dublin?
I do.
By a guy named McDoyle.
I use a sort of a combination of fictional and real places.
That sort of brings me to the area when sometimes I find that useful.
Yeah. How about you, Linda?
I use some real places in the books. So one of the things that a lot of the readers seem to sort of get a kick out of is roads, country roads. I use Hogpath Road. Hogpath Road happens to be in my hometown, and people have actually sent me selfies standing before the road sign that says Hogpath Road, and they're like, "Don't go to Hogpath Road because this is a dangerous place. You could be killed." And so, if it's an iconic place, that people know about, I've used those. Or just sort of also in a generic sense. For example, an Amish horse auction or an Amish auction. Everybody who lives in the area, they know about those, or they know of those. So, and of course, I guess restaurants. I have used restaurants too. There are some well-known sort of touristy type restaurants that are run, by the Amish, or else Amish people work in the restaurant. So, and it always makes, readers seem to get a kick out of that. And it just makes it a little bit more fun, when they're familiar with that kind of setting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all very much. It was wonderful.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
you.
Very interesting.
Thank you. And Stacy and I will be here another 10 minutes. So if you bought one book and you'd like to buy another, then please give us a call, 561-279-7790.
Both their books are great. I hope everybody buys at least 80.
Oh, thank you, Aline. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It was really fun.
Good night, y'all. Bye, Sarah.
Karen.
Bye, y'all.
If you travel into Illinois, in central Illinois, there's a town called